Enemy fighter jets destroyed. What is known about the successful special operation by the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine? I'm Solomia Vitvitska, and this is TSN. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch the broadcast, and comment. The enemy attacked Khmelnytsky region several times with missiles and drones. Air defense forces destroyed 2 drones. There are no casualties or fatalities, according to the military administration. 2 people were killed as a result of an enemy attack in Zaporizhia. During the day, the Russians struck the Heliopol community with aerial bombs. A married couple suffered fatal injuries. Homes were destroyed and damaged. That night, the enemy attacked Odessa with drones. The fire damaged 50 pavilions at the radio market and destroyed 8 of them. The attack also damaged an administrative building, a dormitory, a garage, and 6 cars. The Peresip synagogue was also affected, where ancient scrolls and books were kept. 3 people were injured in Dnipropetrovsk region, including an infant. The occupiers struck the village of Alinka with an FPV drone. They hit a house. A 4-month-old baby is in critical condition, while the adults are in moderate condition. In Dobropilya, Donetsk region, the Russians killed a local resident with a KAB and wounded 2 others. Another person did not survive the enemy artillery shelling in Konstantinivka. An apartment building was badly damaged. 1 person was wounded each in Pokrovsk, Rubizn, and Lyman. In the morning, the Russians shelled the outskirts of Kherson with artillery. A man was killed, and 2 more people were injured. 3 women were injured in the regional center itself. Meanwhile, the city authorities are evacuating residents of the Korovelnyai district, all because of the damaged Ostrovsky Bridge, which connects the residential area with Kherson itself. This weekend, the Russians dropped aerial bombs on the crossing twice. The road surface and gas pipeline have been destroyed, so residents of the district are left without gas, food, and water, which can no longer be delivered to Korabel. More than 80 people have already agreed to evacuate. They are being taken either to relatives, to other neighborhoods, or to local shelters. Many residents of Korabel refuse to leave their homes.
They think, where would we go? We have nowhere to go. They'll bring water there too.
They'll deliver it there, but it's just not realistic to get it there.
It would take hours. It's just not realistic, but they're still hoping for something that they've stocked up on supplies.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Put your things down. We'll help you now. We'll give you a ride. We'll give you a ride. There are still people from the island who want to evacuate. All right, get in the car.
Dealing with the aftermath of the massive shelling of Kiev. It's already been 5 days, but people are still cleaning up everything around. TSN correspondent Alina Huschik saw what's happening near the destroyed building.
It's the 5th day after the Russian attack, and at the site where the missile hit, there are 28 portraits of those who died that terrible night. People keep bringing flowers, candles, and sweets here, and they recall stories about those they knew and those they learned about only after the Russian attack. Yes, he was at home. It was terrifying. The whole house was shaking. Residents of the surviving part of the building have started to be allowed back into their apartments so they can retrieve essential items and, in general, anything that managed to survive. All of this is happening under the constant supervision of the police, who are making sure that people carefully enter their homes, because some parts of the structure are still dangerous. Right now, utility workers and all the city services are here, working to restore electricity to people in the nearby buildings that were also affected. Trees are also being constantly cut down here, and tractors and heavy machinery are driving around, hauling away household debris that used to be people's belongings and parts of their homes. Many people are still in the hospitals, and some of them still have surgeries ahead of them. Their friends and loved ones have set up donation accounts, which you can find in posts on social media.
As of today, all patients have been transferred out of the intensive care unit. There are almost 9 patients still in the hospital, while the rest are receiving outpatient treatment. There were a total of 34, yes, but, well, out of those 34, 6 received outpatient care.
As for assistance to all the victims whose homes were also damaged here, representatives of the Kiev administration are expected to visit the city late this evening to discuss these issues, explain what investigators have already managed to document, and inform residents about what to expect next. Alina Huschik, Ilya Shinkarenko, TSN, 1+1.
In the Kiev region, people said their goodbyes to 6-year-old Matvichik, who was killed by a Russian missile. Matthew Marchenko became one of the victims of the Russian strike on a residential building in the capital on the night of July 31st. What was little Matviko passionate about, and what did he dream of before the Russians took his life? TSN correspondent Natalia Kachuk will tell you more about this next. And throughout the story, there will be a QR code on the screen where you can find the details to help the family of the late Matvichik.
May ye find the kingdom of heaven and rest among the saints with Christ.
With flowers and toys beside the small coffin, dozens of people, parents, relatives, friends, acquaintances, and strangers.
Lord, grant the child rest. Lord, grant the child rest.
6-year-old Matviko was killed by a Russian missile.
Under the shoulders, under the left shoulder.
Matvey Marchenko's life was cut short by a Russian missile strike on a residential building in the capital on the night of July 31st. The Marchenko family's apartment was on the 6th floor. As a result of the strike, the blast wave blew out a wall in the children's room. The debris pinned 6-year-old Matvey to his bed. His parents and neighbors tried to lift the slab themselves, but it was in vain. Rescuers managed to pull Matvey out from under the rubble of the destroyed entrance unconscious, but still alive. For more than an hour, doctors tried to resuscitate the boy, but due to his injuries, Matviko's heart stopped. 6-year-old Matvichik was the youngest child in the Marchenko family. At the moment of the strike, the boy was in the apartment together with his parents and his 8-year-old brother Mikhailu. His older brother was going to be a swimmer. He was into swimming. Matviko's older brother, 12-year-old Lev, was at a summer camp in another city at the time of the strike.
His brother Lyova, who was 11, 12 years old, used to take him everywhere with him, you could say. And everyone knew Matvey, everyone talked to Matvey. And Matvey was always doing something cheerful and kind, always joking around in a childlike way, but it just made everyone wanted to hug him all the time. He was simply the soul of the group.
Ira Yefimenko, Matvey's karate coach, that's who next to the boy in the photo that went around the world on July 31st. The coach says the photo was taken in May of this year. On one of the happiest days for little Matvey, he won a gold medal at the competition.
He was a very diligent child, who didn't seem like he was only 6 years old. His mind was much older. He wasn't just a child, he was pure gold. He got along great with everyone, made friends, there were never any conflicts. He was always playing with everyone, before and after practice. But during training, he was completely focused.
By the age of 6, Matvey had already won about 6 medals and dreamed of becoming a champion. He was learning to swim and started practicing karate a year and a half ago. He used to go to one of the city clubs together with his older brothers. Despite his young age, the coach says he was determined and took his training seriously.
Matviko was an obedient and kind child who simply dreamed of beating everyone and everything. He dreamed of earning as many medals as possible. I'll say this, Matvey is a sunny child.
Matvichik's parents are still unable to talk about what happened. Right now, the apartment where the family lived is uninhabitable, the coach says. So the sports club where Matvey trained is raising money for them to get a new home. Matvichik was buried in his father's native village in the Kiev region. In total, as a result of the missile attack on the capital on July 31st, 31 people were killed, 5 of them children. The youngest was only 2 years old. Natalia Kachuk, Nelly Kowalska, Alexander Alifanov, TSN 1+1.
The threat to Ukraine and NATO countries is growing. The Institute for the Study of War analyzed statements that Russia is preparing Donetsk airport for launching drones. Preparatory work at the airfield, which the aggressor country plans to turn into a drone launch site, was previously reported by OSINT analysts. The Institute for the Study of War noted that satellite images of the airport show that the Russians have partially cleared fortifications from the runway. They have also started construction work in the parking areas, likely preparing to install fuel tanks. Launching long-range drones from a location closer to the Donetsk front line will reduce the amount of time Ukrainian air defense has to respond, analysts emphasize. The Institute for the Study of War also states that Russia's continued use of occupied territories to launch drones will pose an increasing threat to Ukraine and NATO countries. In the Kharkiv region, Russian forces attempted to storm the Hubtivka checkpoint, but soldiers from the 58th Separate Motorized Infantry Brigade repelled the attack. This was reported by the head of the Derachi City Military Administration, Vyacheslav Zadorenko. According to him, Ukrainian troops eliminated more than 10 Russian invaders. After that, the occupiers retreated to their own territory. Despite claims by Russian propagandists, control over Hubtivka remains entirely with Ukrainian forces. Fresh explosions have caused a collapse on the Russian railway. After a drone attack in the Volgograd region, trains are being delayed. Drones visited the railway station in the city of Frolovo. After the attack, a technical building there was damaged and caught fire. Because of this, trains to Moscow and St. Petersburg are delayed for 4 hours, and suburban electric trains have been canceled. In total, the authorities of the aggressor country report more than 50 drones shot down. 4 Russian fighter jets were damaged, and one was completely destroyed at the Sake airfield in temporarily occupied Crimea. This was reported by the Security Service of Ukraine. The successful mission was carried out by drones from the Special Operations Center. And the Security Service of Ukraine says that the airfield in Sake is a key Russian airbase for operations in the Black Sea. As a result of the strike, a Su-30 SM aircraft was completely destroyed, another was damaged, and 3 Su-24 aircraft were also hit. On the territory of the airfield, a depot of aviation munitions was also hit by the Ukrainian UAV strike. The U.S. President's Special Representative, Steve Witkoff, will visit Moscow on Wednesday or Thursday. Donald Trump said this the day before in a conversation with journalists, clarifying that the meeting was initiated by the Russian side. When asked what the Russians could do to avoid the sanctions that are set to be announced this Friday, Trump replied, "Make a deal that would stop people from dying." On Truth Social, he wrote that since the beginning of this year alone, Russia has lost 112,500 soldiers on the battlefield. Ukraine, 8,000. Trump once again called the war senseless and complained that it had seemed to him like something that would be easy to stop. But in practice, it turned out not to be the case. So if the fighting doesn't stop, he promises to impose sanctions on Russia. He once again confirmed his intention the day before. Meanwhile, the Kiev Post, citing 2 of its own sources, reported a few days ago that in parallel with the withdrawal, Trump's special envoy on Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, is supposed to head to Kiev. The exact date of the visit is unknown.
Foreign_language. They're crafty characters. They want to meet with him. They asked for a meeting. We'll see what happens.
A corruption scandal in Lithuania. The country's president, Gitanas Nausėda, has signed a decree dismissing the entire government along with Prime Minister Gintaras Paluckas. They didn't even last a year in office. Finance Minister Ramantas Saidzius has been appointed to temporarily head the government. News of Gintaras Paluckas' resignation broke last week after journalists uncovered his suspicious business connections, specifically reporting on loans granted to the Prime Minister's companies and Paluckas' alleged abuse of his political influence. Because of these publications, the Prosecutor General's Office and the Special Operations Service have launched an investigation into the politician. And now, within no more than 15 days, President Gitanas Nausėda must submit a candidate for the new permanent Prime Minister to the Seimas for consideration. This could be the result of a major earthquake. Scientists link the first volcanic eruption in 600 years on Kamchatka to last week's underground tremors that shook the Far East. A video released online shows a massive cloud of ash. It rises into the sky more than 6 kilometers high. The entire area around the Krasheniniko volcano is covered in ash. The wind is carrying the cloud toward the Pacific Ocean. No evacuation has been announced, since there are no populated areas in the danger zone. The Krasheniniko volcano has awakened for the first time in a history of observations. It is located 200 kilometers from the administrative center of Kamchatka. And now, the area around the eruption has been assigned an orange aviation hazard code. That concludes this TSN broadcast. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Hit the bell so you don't miss our live broadcasts every day, both on weekdays and weekends. And now, here are today's highlights. Evacuation from the Kherson region. 80 people from the Korabelny district agreed to leave. This area has been left without gas, food, or water. It's now impossible to deliver them because the Ostrivsky Bridge, which connects the Korabelny residential area with Kherson itself, has been damaged. The Russians dropped aerial bombs on the crossing twice. Detention, or more than 8 million hryvnias in bail. Such a preventive measure was chosen by the High Anti-Corruption Court for Member of Parliament Alexei Kuznetsov. He is one of the figures in the case concerning possible corruption during the procurement of electronic warfare equipment and UAVs for the National Guard. According to NABA detectives, he was part of a criminal group that artificially inflated the prices of equipment. This case also involves the former head of the Mukachevo District Administration, the head of the Rubizn City Military Administration, and others. The hearings on the selection of preventive measures will continue on Tuesday. 6 people were injured as a result of the fire in the Lviv hotel. Among them are 2 children. Preliminarily, an explosion occurred in one of the rooms. The fire broke out on the 9th floor of the 12-story hotel. Thick black smoke was pouring out of the windows. Rescuers had to evacuate about 20 people. House arrest around the clock. That's the preventive measure chosen for the men who damaged the gates and entered the territory of the military commissariat in Vinnytsia. The conflict occurred when representatives of the military commissariat detained a man who was wanted by the authorities. A whole crowd of about 80 people tried to get him back. They broke down the gates and wanted to get inside. The police intervened. 5 offenders were detained. A real drama on stage and a full house in the auditorium. The premiere of a new play by the popular Ukrainian director Ivan Yurevsky, Zemlya, Earth, took place in the capital. The unique feature of this production is that it involves actors from 2 Kiev theaters at once. And the play itself, directed by Yurevsky from the Franco Theater, is being staged at the Lysia Ukrainka Theater in the capital. Tickets are sold out all the way through October.